why did you pick that issue?
僕の両親、先ほど出てきましたけど、両親が昭和5年生まれで、戦争を体験してます。で、東京の大空襲とかもあってますんで、その話を非常に、両親から聞かされてました。なので、その両親のミームみたいなものが、メタルギアソリッドの中には、入っているのかなと思います。
So I think I've talked about this before, but both of my parents were born in the 1930s, so they experienced World War II, and they lived through the bombing of Tokyo and all of that, and I heard many horrible stories about the war. So I guess you could say, in a way, I inherited those memes from my parents and tried to pass that along through the Metal Gear Solid series.
当時のゲームっていうのはですね、やっぱり遊び道具であって、サブカルではなかったんですよ。で、そこをなんとか変えたいというか、遊んで面白かった、それプラス、自分の人生にプラスになるような何かのメッセージとか、そういったものを、ゲームで、受け取れるような、そういったものを作りたいというので、僕のゲームはメタルだけじゃないですけども、全てのゲームにある種のメッセージを込めて、ユーザーの皆さんに送り出しています。
So what I wanted to do is, at the time, what I saw in games were that they were just kind of there as a way to kill time. It was just kind of this subculture where people just kind of played it for entertainment, which isn't bad. But what I wanted to do is add something more to it, add some meaning to it, and add some message to the story. And so that's what I've always strived for in all my games, in Metal Gear and other series that I've worked on, is try to have some sort of meaning so that the player can come away from the game with their life enriched somehow.
Now, you've worked in the game industry for a long time, and when I think you first joined Konami, you joined a team that made a game. And I think one thing that's always interesting to me, about game designers is what is the process they go through of building a game. And I think a lot of people, think of the auteur theory for film and say, oh, it's one person's vision that is, what you see on the screen. And you're one of, I think, the few named game designers where a Hideo Kojima game means something. But I wanted to ask you sort of your perspective on game design. Do you think a game really is the vision of one person, or do you think it really is a team that has to create a game? Because now there are a lot of studios that we love, not necessarily a specific individual designer.
僕の場合は非常に特殊なんですけども、僕はその企画をしてアイデアを出して世界観を作って物語を書いて演出して編集して調整をやると。さらにプロデュースもするんですけども、僕の中ではそれを全てをする人がゲームデザイナーと呼んでるんですけど、なかなか今そういう人はいません。で、実際僕がそういうことをやったゲームにはヒデオ・コジマゲームという、ものをつけてます。
So I think you are correct in saying that I am quite rare in the fact that I like to do everything on my games. So not only do I come up with a concept, I do all the planning, I brainstorm, come up with a plot, the system design, the scenarios, the maps. Work on the tweaking. I produce the game. I touch on just about everything that goes on within the game. So, in that regard, I guess I'm, a rare breed these days. But to me, that's true game design. And the games that I put that label on that says a Hideo Kojima game, the only games that bear that mark are the games that I'm able to achieve all of these, that I'm able to touch on all these points on, basically.
とはいえすごく大勢の人数でゲームっていうのを作るので、一人ではできないんですけども、ゲームはサービス業だと思ってるんですけど、例えばレストランで料理長がゲームデザイナーで、そこで、食材とか、他の料理人とか集めてどうやってどういう味を作ってどういうサービスをするっていうのを決めるのがゲームデザイナーだと思っているので、そのサービスを決めている人がゲームの中では多さだと僕は思っています。
So, of course, the game designer is a creator, but at the same time, you're providing a service to the player. So in that way, I think there are some parallels to, say, a master chef at a restaurant. The chef works with the staff. He chooses all the ingredients, decides how it's going to be prepared, what kind of seasoning is going to go into the dish, how to lay it out, present it to the customers. And so in that sense, I suppose you could say the game creator, like the master chef, is the auteur and is kind of the author of the game, in my opinion.
なので、一つの同じレストランでも料理長が変わるとゲームデザイナーが変わると出される、メニューも味付けも違いますしサービスも変わってくるっていうのが僕の中でのゲームデザイナーです。
So So, for example, going back to that chef parallel again, if you go to a restaurant after, say, the master chef has changed, you may notice that the menu may be different. The flavor of the food may not be what you remembered. Even the service may be different from what you remember. So the experience could be totally different. And I believe it's the same thing with game designers. They're the ones who have to lead the project, and if they change, the entire experience could be affected.
Now, you meet a lot of budding game designers, and many people here, I'm sure, would love to design their own big video game. And even when I've visited your studio, it's interesting to see the designers there who will fill out their idea notebooks and give them to you to, suggest ideas, and you review them, and much like a professor, I think, look at their ideas. I'm wondering, from your perspective, what do you think is the difference between a good game designer and a great one? I mean, you've worked with a lot of people over the years. What is that special alchemy that it takes to be a fantastic game designer?
非常に難しいんですけども、ものづくりってやっぱりその作家性というか、その人が何かを作りたいということがないとものを作れないんですけども、だから作家性だけではゲームっていうのはインタラクティブなメディアなんで、そこが難しいですね。だから自分がやりたいものをプラス、プレイヤーがどう思うかっていうのを考えるそのバランス能力というか、そこが非常に問われると思います。
That's a very difficult question. I think what it boils down to is that as a creator, you really want to create something new. You want to realize your vision. But since games are interactive, that's not enough. You can't just think about what you want to do or what you want to create. You always have to be thinking of the player because they're the ones who have to interact with your game. So you have something that you want to create, but you also have to think of things from the player's perspective and think about what they want to play.
例えば車を作るとして非常にかっこいいデザインの車を作っても燃費が悪かったり操作感がなかったりするとまずいので、まず自分で乗って自分の一番気持ちのいい、車を作る。でその後はいろんな人に車に乗ってもらってその人の意見を聞いて微調整していくっていう、そこのバランスができる人が非常にいいゲームデザイナーだと思います。
So if we're maybe to talk about cars, for example, if you made a really awesome, sleek-looking car, but it had bad fuel mileage and didn't handle very well, it wouldn't mean much. So, I think what you have to do is first come up with something that you like, that you're satisfied with, and then show it to as many people as you can, get their opinions, and really tweak it. I think that's very important.
Now,